So I did a little bit of homework and a little bit of backtracking just to see about some things that Phil Jackson had went throughout his years and try to put some things together to see if Scottie actually had a point or if he was just reaching like a two guard. Let's talk about it. Now, as I said before, man, if you're going to put that race card on someone, you definitely need to have proof, and you definitely need to be concrete, and you need to be 10 toes down with that allegation, because that's nothing to play with. You know, everybody from the outside in, they say they never seen that type of energy from Phil Jackson, but you know, Scottie is seeing this thing from a whole different lens because he played with Phil. He was in the locker room with Phil every day, this, that, and the third. But I did a little bit of homework, people. Going back in time, I'm not going to call Phil Jackson a racist neither, but there are definitely some red flags that I kind of came across throughout the years when it came to Phil Jackson, his position, his disposition on certain things. Now, let's go back to the Lakers run with Shaq and Kobe. We all know about the beef with Shaq and Kobe. What I did not know, however, is that Robert Horry, Big Shot Bob, had did an interview in the USA Today. This is what Robert Horry has said about the Kobe Shaq feud. I think Phil Jackson started that feud. It happened many times that after team practice, he would say, Kobe said this about Shaq, and Shaq said that about Kobe. We couldn't believe how that could happen because just the day before, we saw them together, jumping on one another. Phil liked it when there was conflict of some sort. Now, this is Robert Horry, Big Shot Bob, NBA champion, NBA legend, should be a Hall of Famer in my opinion. He's putting the blame on Phil Jackson. Now, from the outside, and you're going to say, what does that have to do with racism? Well, I'll say this. I don't recall Phil Jackson ever pairing Scottie and Michael against each other like that. You know, and it's kind of hard to go against Phil's methods because, again, he won championships. But I don't remember him pairing those two against each other like that. I didn't see those types of stories in the Last Dance documentary. I've never heard of Pippen and Jordan going back and forth like that. I don't recall even him being a president. I don't recall Melo having to go at Porzingis or Melo at Stoudemire or Melo at, what's his name, Jeremy Lin. So this was interesting because they do say back in the day, one of the biggest forms of entertainment for the white man was to have two black people destroy each other. I mean, we see that in 2021. So that was a little red flag, maybe reaching. But that is just one of the things I was saying as far as examples. Then, of course, speaking of Carmelo, remember the situation in New York with Phil Jackson and the beef that he had with Carmelo Anthony. Now, this is an interview that Phil Jackson had. These are some comments that Phil said about Carmelo. Check this out. He says, Carmelo, I think, wanted to be a leader, but I don't think he completely knew how to be a leader as a player. And I think that the strength of his personality was intimidating to some of the coaches that were asked to coach the team. Really? Now, we know how much pain Carmelo Anthony has put into this league, even before getting to New York. We know what he did for the New York organization. But Phil Jackson wants to question Carmelo being a leader. I mean, I won't put race behind that. That just seems like a basketball opinion. I'm not going to go against Phil. I disagree. I think Melo is a great leader, maybe lead different. But I just didn't like the undertone of what he's saying. Like he's saying, I don't think he completely knew how to be a leader as a player. Well, that's partially your job, in my opinion. And the whole thing about he think that Carmelo's strength of his personality was intimidating to some coaches that were asked to coach the team. I mean, that sounds a little bit to me like you got the one black guy around all the white people and they're intimidated by his presence. Think about it. This may not be that element, but it does give you a cause to pause when it comes to that situation. So that's two right there. Then, of course, we got the whole LeBron James situation with the whole posse incident where he called LeBron James and his team a posse. Maverick Carter took to social media and said all the hard work, effort, and achievement, and Phil Jackson still call us a posse. Every step you take, they remind you, you ghetto. Now, Maverick Carter, he tweeted after that he's not calling Phil Jackson racist, he's talking about the undertone. But looking at Maverick Carter's tweet, the original one, he says, every step you take, they remind you. You're ghetto. Well, who are they? Who is he really talking to? So whether Maverick likes it or not, in my opinion, he's putting Phil Jackson in that box of they. Right or wrong? Then, of course, we got the Kobe Bryant incident. Now, this was something that Scottie Pippen had brought up as far as when he initiated this whole thing about Phil Jackson being race. He brought up the whole Tony Kukoc opportunity was a race move, but he also brought up Kobe Bryant. And everybody was kind of lost because they was like, what did that book have to do with any type of racism or any race bait? Because none of that type of vibe or energy was ever mentioned before. Here's an interview, a portion of an interview that I caught from Phil Jackson in the LA Times about the Kobe Bryant incident when he had the rape allegations, the charges and everything some years back. So Phil Jackson says the Kobe incident triggered all my unprocessed anger and tainted my perception of him. It distorted my view of Kobe Bryant throughout the 2003-2004 season. No matter what I did to extinguish it, the anger kept smothering in the background. So here we are with Phil Jackson telling you that regardless of how much he tried to put the situation, because Kobe didn't go to jail. We know the situation. You can do your homework on the Kobe Bryant situation. But what he's telling you guys is that regardless of what happened, he could not put his he couldn't put his disdain aside for Kobe in the 2003-2004 season. Now, I believe he was the coach. He was coaching Kobe. So, and the young lady that, if I'm not mistaken, was a white woman. So we have Phil Jackson saying he cannot get over his emotion and his anger at Kobe Bryant about the situation, even while they, coaching. Regardless of how much he tried to shake it. Now, that's a human vibe, but that also gives you some type of a racial undertone. Because this is the Zen Master we're talking about. Let's not forget who we're talking about. Phil Jackson's legend is being outside of the box, being creative. So for him not to be able to, shake that thing off, he must have took that personal. Way personal than most. So I'm just looking at these situations, man. And again, these necessarily do not mean that Phil Jackson by any means is a racist. But if more stories come out from that Chicago Bulls locker room about they got those feelings that Pip had got, here we go. Here's the ingredients to the recipe of this disaster that's being cooked up right now. I want y'all to take a look at each one of those situations, man, and y'all give me your honest opinion. Do y'all see any racial undertone? Do y'all think this is just pretty much just a whole stretch? Everybody feel like Scottie's talking crazy. Scottie Pippen, his takes on basketball seem to be weird and outlandish. So that's why I don't think a lot of credibility goes on what he say, regardless of him being a 6-time champion. But I don't know, man. Scottie may be on to something. Let's be clear. But you guys are now rocking with the best. This is the Best of 7 Sports Talk. I'm 7 Mitchell, man. Like, comment. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. I really want to know what you guys think about this situation with Phil Jackson and Scottie Pippen. Phil Jackson being called out as a racist. Scottie Pippen doubling down on the Dan Patrick show in his interview. This Unguarded book is going to be crazy, man. Scottie trying to sell that drink, trying to get that book sold in a minute. Scottie is turning up, man, and he letting everything out the bag. We know Scottie Pippen been through a lot. So to me, I don't feel like Scottie's clout chasing. I feel like he's in that I don't give a fuck mode, and he trying to make his money on the back end. You see, he was always clowned about, not getting that money from the Bulls and that weak contract. He said he going to get his money one way or another. He going to get his money on the back end. Let's be clear. But y'all let me know what y'all think, man. This is the Best of 7 Sports Talk. I'm 7 Mitchell. Y'all stay safe. If you guys would like to donate to this channel, please, links are in the description box. They took away the monetization option for this channel. They advised me that I'm providing too many highlights to you guys. I'm providing too much basketball footage to you guys when I'm dropping my stories. So it's a real unfortunate situation. They took the monetize it option away. But if you guys would like to donate and help this network, links are in the description box. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Salute. Stay safe.